Welcome to Xcelerate with Shawn Redford. The Xcelerate Xcast is designed to provide exterior agents with simple, repeatable, and profitable strategies for you to grow your business. We will share ideas on how to identify ideal target markets and new opportunities, improve your conversations with proven scripts and storytelling, and finally, we'll also meet with industry experts and our partner companies to ensure we're up to date with the newest technology and insights, all so you're able to accelerate your growth. We hope you enjoy Xcelerate with me, your host, Shawn Redford. Today on Xcelerate with Shawn Redford, we have James Leary, co-founder of OneProtection. With nearly 25 years of dedicated experience in the insurance and financial services sector, James is primarily specialized in individual income protection planning throughout his career. Alongside his esteemed business partner, Michael Sear, he currently serves as the co-founder of OneProtection. OneProtection stands as a cutting-edge income protection sales enablement software platform, meticulously crafted to empower insurance agents and financial advisors in effectively presenting, selling, and securing adequate income protection plans for their valued clients. James is married with 3 kids and is an avid mountain biker, downhill skier, and muskie fisherman. I look forward to hearing what James has to say about positioning disability insurance with our clients. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again today on Xcelerate with Shawn Redford. Today, we've got Jim Leary of OneProtection, lots of experience in specifically the disability insurance space. And as you're all aware, we are in one of our 90-day campaign periods where we're focusing on disability insurance, critical illness insurance, and insuring the lives of children. And today, why we brought Jim here is because I've had the fortunate opportunity to talk to Jim and his partner, Michael Sear, on a couple of occasions now, and really delve deep into disability insurance and a lot of the challenges that advisors and the industry, for that matter, faces in doing an adequate job. And I mean, adequate is not even doing it justice. I mean, we are doing a horrible job at promoting living benefits in general, and particularly disability insurance. So that's why I thought it would be really important to bring on an expert, one of our best experts that we've spoken to in this area, and that's Jim Leary of OneProtection. But before we get into Jim's story, or rather the offering that Jim and his team have, I like to, as you know, start with just getting to know our guests, our partners. And I think I'll start things off today with asking Jim, why disability insurance? You know, how do you become an expert wizard in the disability insurance space?
Well, it's rare. There's not a whole lot of us out there, Shawn. But what a great question. There's some different phases to that. I've been in the financial services world in some way, shape, or form now for about 25 years. And when I got my start in where I cut my teeth, so to speak, in kind of this business, back in high school, I could do what was called OJT, on the job training, and I hated school. So as soon as I could get out of school and actually go work, I was on it instantaneously. I just got my license, and this OJT class opened up, and I was out of there. And where I was going was a collection agency. And what I did back then was medical charge-off debt collections. And I did that for about 4 years. I started that when I was 16 years old. And it was interesting, not knowing anything about disability insurance planning at the time. What was I doing? I was on the phone every day with people that had some type of a medical situation going on, that were in major financial ruins because of it. And here I'm trying to help them kind of manage their way through that and set up these repayment plans and so on and so forth. Well, guess what happened to a lot of those people I was talking to? Bankruptcy. So that's where I started to, not even knowing it at the time, got my first taste of disability insurance planning or income protection planning. We'll get more on precise language behind this here in a little bit. So from there, I can only do that for so long. Then I started kind of working my way into some other areas of business. I always like sales. I always like working with people. Fast forward, long story short, I started working at some financial firms. I did that for a while. But some of those firms, Shawn, did not really focus on disability insurance planning. More kind of public employee sectors, teachers, and like 40 in here in the States, it's 403B plans and things like that. Until I started working and where I met my business partner, who you mentioned, Mike Sir, started working at a firm here in the States called Principal Financial Group. And that's where I really started to get a sense for disability insurance planning. At the time, Mike Sir, my business partner, he was the regional vice president, one of their top guys for disability insurance planning. So he'd work with advisors on training and stuff like that. And that's where something engaged there with me right away. And then I started thinking like, holy smokes, let me go in reverse here. And I'm like, everybody I was talking to back in those collection days, medical collections, if I could go back, I'd have another question I'd be asking them. What does your income protection or disability insurance plan look like? I'm certain none of them had anything to do with that. So I started learning more and more about this. And as I started to appeal to clients, number two, I worked in this big producer group, advisors everywhere that were buddies of mine. So I'd be talking to them every day. What are you doing with disability insurance planning with your with your practice? Same answer over and over again, Shawn. I don't know really what to do here. It's tough. And I try to bring this up to my client and they give me 50 objections on it. And I don't really know where to take that conversation next. I'm like, whoa, this is something really important that's really hard to get across to the client. So I started Googling, literally word for word, disability insurance presentation software for financial advisors. And I wouldn't see anything. Nothing was really there. So I started to kind of design my own system for it. Don't tell the compliance department at Principal, but I had to serve my clients more effectively here. And I was mind boggled, as good as the training was there, and as good as the training all these other carriers had and all these marketing materials, it was still a major, major problem. And I was just mind boggled that there was not a good system in place for advisors to confidently be able to demonstrate that need to their client in a way that would get their client to take action and move forward. Now I'm going a little bit into the future here of our conversation, Shawn, but that's kind of my story, my very condensed down 25-year story in the financial services world. But what really, really did it was one day I was sitting at that firm and I came across a marketing piece and it was a pyramid. And I had saw this marketing piece 50 times before, but I looked at it a little differently one morning. And it was like this, and at the bottom of it, it was disability insurance protection. And I thought, well, holy smokes, if this is the foundation of a financial planning strategy, should this be the foundation of my practice? And that's another reason of multiples where I really started to lean in further and further and further into the disability insurance marketplace. So quick little background story on kind of where that all started and how it percolated into wanting to just become a disability insurance expert because nobody was doing it out there.
And it's interesting you say that, because that in and of itself is a reason why our agents need to be paying attention to disability insurance, because nobody else is talking about it. And it's that, I've used this analogy before. It's that thin end of the knife that lets you get in and create value, have a conversation that's unique, something that they haven't heard before. They've heard about retirement planning strategies. They've heard about life insurance. They've probably been, solicited over and over and over again for these things. But I would be amazed if one person in their lifetime has ever talked to them about disability insurance, even including their current financial advisor. So if you're the first one to ever bring this up, I think you stand out. And it leads into so many other conversations and so many opportunities, how you're looking holistically at their problems and the risks in their life and the value that you can add that hasn't been given to them up to that point.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, Sean. And back in those days too, I was thinking about that exact thing right there. Number one. And number two is if I'm going out to try to sell life insurance to a client, I'm going to be jammed in traffic. If I'm going to talk to somebody about income protection or DI planning, I'm going to be the only car on the road there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I also thought, taking that one step further, if I'm helping a client, or you advisors out there listening to this, if you're helping your client in all these other areas of financial planning and insurance planning, what's the fuel to all of it? It's the client's ability to work and grow their income. So you can have an awesome life insurance strategy. You can have a great financial plan, a retirement strategy, all of that stuff. The one thing to throw that off quicker than anything is a health event that takes that client out of work. And as an advisor, I did not want to be sitting there on a Monday morning getting a phone call from a client, or worse, their spouse, saying, "Hey, Jim, Todd just had a massive heart attack over the weekend. Not sure if or when he's going to get back to work. What do we do?"
Yeah.
If I'm on the other end of that line, or you as the advisor on the other end of that line, you better have some really confident answers for your clients. Otherwise, it's going to be a real tough phone call.
Absolutely. And to your point, I mean, I've seen so many of these financial planning pyramids over the years, but all of them at the base of that plan, there's always protection, whether
Yeah.
it's life insurance, disability insurance, critical illness insurance, that is always at the very bottom. Because to your point, the castle falls apart, the building falls apart. If that income is taken away, the foundation is now all gone. It doesn't matter how good a retirement plan you had, there's no plan anymore if there's no revenue going into it. So protecting that income is absolutely critical. And you also said something else that was really interesting. You attributed your interest and how you identified the opportunity in disability insurance having come from an understanding of the consequences of not having it, the likely consequences of not having it when you lose your job or you lose your income and and due to a disability or an illness or whatever, and the creditors start calling. And what are you going to say? And if you had that disability income protection in place, now the answer is, you know what, I've taken a hit in my income, but we can maybe structure something while I'm on disability to get me through this challenging time. And I mean, there's a reason why the number one reason for foreclosure in North America, not just in the US, but also in Canada, is due to disability.
Yep.
That's why people are losing their homes. And so, I think storytelling is really important, and helping clients see the value or understand the value of disability insurance by what it's going to do from stories that have impacted other people. So I think storytelling is absolutely great. And thank you for sharing your story.
Well, thanks, Sean. And also, if you're sitting down with a client, you're having some conversations with them, ask them, you know, "Hey, do you know anybody who's had a health event before? Heart attack, stroke, cancer, arthritis, back problems, neck problems, etc."
Yeah.
Everybody knows somebody who has had a health event before. And then you can follow that up with did that cause some financial problems for them? Oh, geez, yeah, Uncle Todd had to file bankruptcy. I mean, you can get that client thinking a little differently
Hmm.
just by feathering in some real powerful communication dynamics there. And to go back to Sean, you said some things about, just that overall, planning and what happens, from a foreclosure and from here too, from a bankruptcy standpoint. Number one, bankruptcy, foreclosure, health events cause that, with people not being adequately protected. The other thing I want to bring in too is budget.
Hmm.
A lot of advisors will go down the budgeting realm of things with their client. And I think it's super, super important. When somebody's working and they're healthy and their job's going good and their income trajectory is growing, having a budget for things is critical. Financial planning and keeping your expenses in check and all that stuff. Here's where that completely gets flipped over when you have a health event. and your income stops. See, budgeting there doesn't apply anymore. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is I'll have a lot of advisors daily bring that up to me, like, how do we know what benefit the client needs? I'll say, well, let me ask you this. Your client's making X amount per year right now. How much of their current income do they need? The answer is almost always, well, all of it. Okay, let's use that strategy now to see what benefits they might want to have coming in if they're unable to work. They're going to
Yes.
need as much money coming in as humanly possible. And whatever budget that you had previously completely loses its purpose. It goes from here's my budget to how much money do I have coming in and how soon is this money going to be coming in to stave off a bankruptcy or foreclosure, fill in the blank. And that's where disability insurance comes in.
And you've already shared some great lines, some great scripting for our agents to use. A lot of them struggle with, I've been your advisor, your agent for several years now, I've been the agent of a client for several years now. How do I open up the conversation? Should I have talked to them about disability insurance 5, 6, 8, 10 years ago? Like, how do I open it up now today without looking foolish or like I'm just trying to make another sale?
Exactly how you just said it right there. Just be honest. Just be honest. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, here's something that I've been learning. I'm constantly trying to grow in my areas of expertise here. And one of the areas that I've really been getting better at and learning more about is income protection planning. And I feel bad because I realize it's something that you and I have really not sat down and had a thorough discussion with before. And it scares me a little bit because I realize that your ability to work and earn income is the fuel, period, end of story, to our financial plan and our financial goals moving forward. And if something happens here, meaning an unforeseen health event that takes you out of work for a couple, 2, 3 years or worse, everything we're doing is completely
Irrelevant. Doesn't matter.
Irrelevant. It's completely gone. And I want to make sure I'm helping you in this critical area. Do you have a few minutes to set aside with me next week where we can dive into this discussion a little bit? And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But if I'm not having this conversation with you, I'm not doing a good job as your insurance advisor at all.
Yeah.
It's confidence. Be just point blank and just be honest. When you're honest, you don't have to think of what to say next.
Yeah.
When you're super truthful and just say it how it is, those conversations go a lot more effectively. And I think the client can feel that versus their sales antenna radar going sky high.
Yeah. And I think especially if you've got that health license, because in the US, you've got the life and the health licenses. If you've got that health license, you have a responsibility to talk to your clients about health benefits, health products that are available to them. In my opinion, you really do have a responsibility to have that conversation with them. And I think it's fair to say that it is your job. It's your job to think about the things that they don't have time to think about or that they don't know that they should think about. And you would like to have this conversation with them to make sure that they're well informed and protected.
Couldn't agree with you more. I could not agree with you more, Shawn.
So now let's talk, before we get into your product, because I certainly want to give a lot of time for that. I've got one more question I'd like to ask you, and that is markets, identifying markets. We have a lot of new agents, new to the industry, especially new to disability insurance. Where do you begin? How do you identify a target market to talk to about disability insurance? I mean, is there one market that's better than another, or 2 or 3 that you would recommend?
Well, it all starts with having the right mindset. The advisor has to make the decision. Okay, I want to become very effective in this critical area of planning. Period. If they don't have that going on, it doesn't matter what market they try to get into. So that's first and foremost. Mindset. From a market standpoint, well, this can spider web into a lot of different directions here. But let's pull that back for 1 second. Who has to get up and go to work every day and earn an income? There's your market right there.
So you're saying everybody.
Everybody who's got to get up and go to work and earn an income. That's the market. I'll dive into a little deeper on this here in a second, but here's a perfect example of exactly what I'm talking about. The other day, last week, I'm on a demo with an advisor, walking them through our product. And we get done with it, and he says to me, like, you guys also do like DI marketing? I'm like, no, not really. But why do you ask? Why are you asking that question? I said. He goes, well, because I'm kind of looking for ways to better market DI. There's two sides of this coin here. But from his perspective, I said, well, let me back up a second. How long have you been in business for? He goes, about 8 years. How many clients have you worked with over the past 8 years? He goes, I don't know the exact number, but a couple hundred. Okay, great. What percentage of your current clients do you work with that would have a financial problem if they had a health event and couldn't work tomorrow? He's like, oh my gosh, probably at least 90% of them. I said, there's your market right there. And his mind shifted. It's not about trying to because trying to market DI, Shawn, as a cold marketing product, good luck. It's really ugly to try to market disability insurance out there. Now, there is some markets where that works, but it's a red ocean. I'll get back to that here in a second.
Okay.
So I would say you start with, who are you already working with that has to get up and go to work every day? Start having that conversation with the clients that are right at your fingertips, where there's already a warm relationship there and there's some trust there, where they're going to be more open to having that conversation with you. For new advisors, it's just making sure that mindset is there right away. So everybody that they are marketing to, don't necessarily lead with disability insurance, but as soon as you start to build trust with the client, now start being confident with that conversation to start feathering it in quicker, sooner rather than later. You don't want the 10 years to go by and you had never had the conversation, you get that phone call, right?
Absolutely.
Now, let's dive into some markets a little bit more. Two sides of the coin. You got blue and gray collar, and then you got, more of the white collar business professional. Most advisors that are super successful with disability insurance are heavy into the medical and dental marketplaces. Would I say for advisors that are not yet in there already dominating those marketplaces, good luck. You are not going to penetrate that market very effectively. You are going up with lighthouses in the industry that dominate those marketplaces. Also, what are the percentage of employees out there in that medical space? It's a sliver. What about everybody else out there in the non-medical marketplaces? That's who you need to be talking to. Attorneys, CPAs, sales professionals, IT professionals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The other side of the coin is the blue and gray collar. Those people are really not getting talked to about income protection planning. And you have to really realize something super critical here too for those who are listening to this. The neurosurgeon or orthopedic surgeon that's making $1.3 million a year, their ability to work and grow that income is just as important as an asset for them as it is for the plumber that's making 60 grand a year. That plumber loses that income, it's all relative. He's going to have a series of financial negatives that take place right then and there moving forward. Same with the neurosurgeon or the $1 million earning executive, right? Yeah. So I know that's not super clear on, okay, what markets do I get into here? There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be real clear, but I would say this though, for any clarity, don't try to get into those medical marketplaces and thinking you're going to have success there. Not to be negative, but I've seen it literally 1,000 times with newer advisors to it trying to get into there, Shawn. Oh man, Good
Yeah.
luck. You are going up against some really proficient firms that have dominated into those medical schools and dental schools for decades.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just
And
not going to happen.
I would even think the blue and gray collar workers can appreciate the value of disability insurance more than the white collar workers, because I'm sure many of the white collar workers are thinking, you know what, if I get injured or sick, I might still be able to work, and get by. Whereas, the blue and gray collar workers, the ones that are working with their hands, they can appreciate how easy it is to lose their ability to work from a simple accident and how that's going to impact their income ability. And now, for that reason, they're higher risk, which means the premiums are going to be more expensive. Again, it's always relative. We're
Yeah.
replacing, $3,000 a month of income compared to $50,000 a month of
Yeah.
income. Big disparity there. But it's that much more important. And I would think the conversation might be a little easier there as well.
Yeah, it definitely can be. It
Yeah.
definitely can be. One side of the coin, Sean, it's a little easier. The other side of the coin, it's a little bit more difficult just because of, the policies are typically a little more expensive for the dollar of benefit
Mhm.
that you're getting for all those reasons, because
Yeah.
the carriers know that, geez, this job occupation, so much higher chance that they're going to have to go on claim versus the IT professional, right?
Yes.
So they're
Yeah.
priced accordingly, which should be a really good indicator on who should be having that disability and plan in place, and everybody should, if you're working, everybody should have one, period, end of story. But just to get a little bit more into the under the rug there with that, those are
Yeah.
just some ideas I wanted to feather in.
All right. So now let's talk about how you and your team are helping advisors position disability insurance. And one of the things that really struck me when I learned about your software and had our initial conversations, what really impressed me was, serving financial services products in general is challenging, right? You're asking somebody to pay for something today, but hopefully they never see the benefit of it. And if they do, it's sometime off into the future. So bringing that value into today and getting that immediate gratification from the expense compared to, buying a new car or a new TV or something that makes them feel good today, that's one of the obstacles that you're up against, right? But your software really does help paint a picture and make it easier for people to visualize the benefit. So I'm excited for you to share this with our agents. So, what can you tell us about your software?
Well, Sean, it's all about the visuals. It's very hard to fix a problem for a client that they cannot see. Talking about it is one thing, and you hit on such a critical thing. It's like I may or may not need this down the road. Well, why would I need why why would I need that? So the optimism bias is always it's starting to go up right out of the gates, especially when you're sitting there having this conversation with a, I don't know, 35-year-old that's married, that has a couple kids, that's making good money, that's healthy. They just got back from family vacation and the kids are back to school. Are they thinking for 1 second they're having a health event tomorrow, next year, 5 years from now?
No way.
No way. Optimism bias, it's through the roof. Also, another huge mistake, and our software addresses all of that, by the way. Another huge mistake that I see advisors make is the vernacular that they use.
Hmm.
They call it disability insurance, which technically that's the name of the product, but don't call it that, or disabled. If you become disabled, we need disability insurance. Oh, what that does right there, that client, either consciously or subconsciously, they're thinking of like a Christopher Reeve or a Stephen Hawking scenario.
Hmm.
Handicap symbols, that van pulling up to the Walmart handy with somebody getting low. I mean, that's where the mind goes. So now all of a sudden, you haven't even really started the conversation yet, and that client is, their guard is up so high you can't even see it. And here come the objections.
Mhm.
Well, we're okay. We'd be okay. let's move on to life insurance, right? And it's a major, major mistake that most advisors make right there. So not only do we teach people, Shawn, on how to, here's what the software from a presentation standpoint does. Is it all about that on one side of the coin? Absolutely, because you can't fix a problem for your client that they can't see, right? But the other side is how you communicate it effectively. There's a balance there between emotion and logic. The more we can balance that out through the right communication and the right visuals to back it up, the more effective this whole entire thing becomes. And now we take advisors from going to 0 or 1 or 2 cases a year to now they're doing 20, 25 cases a year over and over again. As long as they have the mindset for it and they want to grow in that area, that's what we do.
That's incredible. Why don't you show us? Why don't you give us an example of what we can expect from this software?
Okay. And Shawn, while I'm pulling up the software here, there's a lot of different areas that we can cover. We call it the 4 Ps to a highly effective income protection presentation or conversation. The first P is positioning. The second P is problem, demonstrating the problem. The third P is presenting, and that means presenting new plan solutions in an easy to understand way. And the fourth P is perspective, and that's putting premium into perspective. I'm not going to cover all areas today, but I'm going to cover the first 2 because they're by far the most important. And that's how the software and how you communicate it positions the value of the client's income. Here's an example. Here we have a 40-year-old. They're earning $150,000 a year right now. Well, at a certain percentage of growth from now through retirement, whatever the retirement age is, all of this is hyper customizable per client. But we have a 3% growth from now through age 67. So if we look at that income growth or trajectory over the course of their career, look at that up there. It's a $6.4 million income asset. Without even going any further, this is by far the client's most important asset that they have. It's their most valuable. And when they see that number and you communicate it visually like this, that grabs their attention right away. Mr. and Mrs. Client, here's your income asset value. It's my job to help you protect this, because if something goes wrong here, everything else we do is at complete risk without an adequate protection plan in place. Not to put more context around this, but a lot of clients out there will be conservative with their investment or planning approach with things. Oh yeah, I'm pretty conservative. I don't like to risk things. I don't like I want slow and steady wins the race, right? Okay, and that's all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting what they don't realize is behind the scenes, that's invisible, they're at the highest risk humanly possible without their income adequately protected, because all those investment, whatever they're doing from a financial planning standpoint, is at big time risk if the income isn't, if the source that fuels it is not adequately protected. Just to put some other color around how important this initial visual is right here. The next stage to it is this. See, clients are insuring all sorts of other things out there without even thinking twice about it. Example, here's this client's home, but maybe it's not any home. Maybe it's their dream home. It's worth $750,000. Maybe they have a cabin on Fish Lake. It's been in their family for decades. Super important to them. Of course, they're insuring it. Maybe they have an RV. Unfortunately, a used Chevy Suburban at $70,000.
Yeah.
Don't get me started with that. They have some other things here. Here's the point. Clients are insuring these everyday things out there, Shawn, like crazy, and they're not even thinking twice about it. But look at their income value here, if we bring that in relation to all of those other things, that's $6.4 million. What's the most valuable asset here that client could be protecting? Is it their home or cabin or suburban? Or is it the source that allows those items to even be there to begin with?
Yeah.
That income by far.
That is a powerful visual. There is no comparison. You could even
Almost,
make them 10 years older at age 50. That number is still going to dwarf all of the other assets, so-called assets that they have in their life.
100%. There's no question about it. Next, demonstrating the problem. Okay, let's talk about a group LTD plan. And the reason why I bring up a group LTD plan is because this is probably, in my experience, the number one objection that advisors get when they bring up disability insurance or income protection planning to their clients. Hey, Joe client, I want to talk to you about your income protection plan. What are you talking about? Well, disability insurance. Oh, I already have that coverage through work. I'm good to go. Now what? Couple things here before we get into the actual visuals. And this is really important. Do not let your client be the first to bring up the fact that they have group coverage through their employer. If you let them beat you to the punch there, you're in a street fight with them, basically. What advisors tend to do is they start beating up on their group plan because they don't know where else to take that conversation. Shawn, if I asked you that question, let's go through a quick script here. Shawn, let's talk about income protection planning or disability insurance. Give me that objection.
I've already got group coverage through work. I'm not interested. Thanks, Jim.
Well, gee, Shawn, I understand where you're coming from, but did you know your group plan probably only covers maybe 50 or 60% of your base income only?
Oh, that's enough.
Did you know it might, there you go. See, it might be taxable.
That's fine. I'll be fine.
Do you know you can't take it with you if you left your employer? Didn't you say you wanted to go start your own gig?
Yeah, it feels like a fight, right? Like you're jabbing, I'm weaving.
Yes. 100%. What a perfect, just a little 30-second conversation right there, which gets, Shawn, you and the client in this scenario, gets your guard up, doesn't it?
No, absolutely.
You even felt it. And you're not trying to sell you a disability. Okay, here's my point. Shawn, before I get into an income protection conversation, help me understand. It's my understanding that you have a group plan through your employer, correct?
Yes.
Okay, one of the things that I really want to hone in on here is the group LTD or long-term disability insurance plan that your employer has for you. Can you tell me how they have that positioned for you by chance from a maximum coverage and a taxation perspective?
I would assume 90% of clients, maybe more, wouldn't be able to know how to answer that question.
Exactly. So now if you respond with, "God, geez, I'm really not sure," now I'm in a completely different zone with that discussion. Shawn, most of my clients I ask that question to have no idea how that is positioned for them, but it's a really critical area of planning that I see overlooked or misunderstood more than any other. And we don't want any surprises down the road. All good planning first starts with helping you understand exactly what you already have in place. Do you mind if you can reach out to your HR department or whatever, and just grab me a benefits booklet or your summary plan description from your HR, then I can analyze it for you, and then we can have an open conversation about it. Boom. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah.
And now you're getting that data way, way more effectively. It's more consultative. You're engaging the client more effectively versus getting in a street fight with them. So let's assume we did all that there, and now I got some basic data plug in on your group plan behind the scenes here. Hey, Joe client, here's your income, 150 a year. Now I analyzed your group plan. Here's what that looks like: $60,000 of coverage. What's our problem? You got a $90,000 gross income loss here. Were you aware of this? Of course they weren't. It's also taxable. So let's bring that into an estimated net breakdown here. So on an annual basis, you'd be losing $68,000 per year if we were relying on your group plan here. Most importantly, let's look at it from a monthly standpoint, $5,700 of net income loss per month right here.
Yeah.
Joe, how long could you and your family go for if you were losing $5,700 a month in net income. And let them respond.
Yeah, that's powerful. Powerful. Looking at the $9,000 income level and compared to 3,800. 9,500 to 3,800. Could you cover your bills at 3,800?
Mostly, almost not ever.
No. No, everybody lives paycheck to paycheck. I don't care how much you earn. You live paycheck to paycheck because you spend what you've got.
Usually you spend what you got, number one. Number two, when somebody is dealing with a health event, Shawn, do expenses go up or down?
Usually they go up.
Haven't seen a scenario where they have gone down. That's for sure. It's an increased expense dynamic.
Absolutely.
Almost 100% of the time. So that just adds more fuel to this negative income loss fire here. Okay, that's one way to look at this. Now, how do we bring this problem into the most effective demonstration possible? Let's go to this income loss scenario as output here next. Okay, here's the story behind this. See, Joe example here is 40 years old. They're married, they have a couple kids, they're healthy, their job's going well, all that stuff that I was talking about a little bit ago.
Mhm.
Are they thinking, Shawn, for 1 second, they're having a health event tomorrow, next year, 5 years from now even?
No.
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 What's the high risk zone for health events? In the 50s.
Yeah.
What's the average claim duration? 3 to 4 years. So it's not about tomorrow, but what if this client had a health event at age 54, like their dad did as an example, and they were out for 4 years? So even with that group coverage in here, that's an income loss of almost $620,000.
Wow.
Shawn, where's that money coming from?
Hopefully you've got some genie in a bottle stuck away somewhere.
Pretty much.
That's a pretty powerful visual. Those green bars showing the before and after your disability or your income loss period. And I love that it incorporates the group benefit. So you're showing what they've got, but you're still highlighting the deficit for that 4 years, as little as 4 years, $600,000. Again, that loss is bigger than almost all of their assets minus maybe their house.
Yeah, well said. What if they lost their group plan?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost $1 million. What if they can't recover? 3.8 million. Right here, this is what you want to make sure you're, as an advisor or insurance professional, you want to make sure you're able to handle a phone call effectively if something like this were to happen with your client. Everything else, here's a perfect example of everything else now that you have done for them up until this point from a overall insurance and financial planning perspective, it goes out the window.
Yeah.
To say the least. And it doesn't matter if they have that group coverage there or not. There's a
Powerful.
problem.
Yeah. You're so right. The visuals really help to educate the client and have them visualize the pain that will come should this, heaven forbid, happen.
So right now I put a lot of extra context around this for our call here today, but a presentation like this can be dialed into just a 1 or 2 minute conversation with the client. You can have that data plugged in and you have this in front of your client's nose in literally a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And you are helping them think completely differently about what their most valuable asset is and what their potential problem is, just like that. And now you can move the conversation into some of those other areas that I mentioned before here. But I'll stop there for now from a conversation around the software perspective, Shawn, because I think that those are by miles the two most critical components of what we do and train on and what our software does. You got to position the value of that client income, getting them to understand, okay, yes, that's my most valuable asset. And then what does that problem look like in the future, in the most realistic health event scenarios that happen out there? What does that do to my income stream? That changes the whole entire game on communicating the need for income protection with clients.
I mean, it's quite clear. And again, I think this resonates really well with me because we haven't been talking about any product to this point. It's not about the product, it's about the potential risk, and it's about putting a solution in place. I don't care what company's product it is. It's not about the product. It's just about having that need fulfilled. And I think it's a great tool. And again, visuals. I mean, some people learn by reading, some people learn by hearing, and but most people, I think studies have shown, by seeing, they learn and appreciate and acknowledge and retain that much more. So kudos to you guys, especially considering this is one of the hardest, if not the hardest product for advisors to position in the marketplace. There's a tool, a resource to help them do it.
Hardest product, yet most important in the
Yeah.
same sentence.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
Absolutely.
There's a reason why we have the leading cause of bankruptcies and home foreclosures are health events. It's a hard product to sell. Why is it hard? Because up until now, not to boast, but up until now, there was not a good way to be able to communicate and present it to clients. Period.
Boast, preach.
I will. All right, I will.
We need to help. I think we need to help more people. And especially to your earlier point, and this comes up over and over again. And I think this is where Experior and Experior's agents really add a lot of value in the marketplace, is because, I personally believe there's a lot of, well, the financial services system is broken. It's really tailored to the more affluent individuals. They get access to the best advice and the unique products, and everybody and their brother, as we talked about earlier, is going after those clients and giving them all the attention in the world. But the average consumer isn't getting any attention from the banks or from financial advisors in general. And I think that's a shame. And I think that's why those people are the ones that are left to suffer. And I think that's an opportunity for our Experior agents, is to focus on those individuals, give them the attention that they deserve, and allow themselves an opportunity to be introduced to many more people just like them, with great tools and great resources like, well, what OneProtection has to offer.
Thanks, Shawn, for saying that. Some of the most successful DI writers that I know, um, guess what? They're in the blue and gray collar space. They have no competition in there. Nobody's having the discussions with them. They use our
Yeah.
software to facilitate every one of the presentations. And I think one of our users and the top DI writer that I'm pretty sure I know, at least over the last year or two, I think he wrote over 600 policies last year.
Wow.
Mind-boggling stuff.
Those are quite some numbers. Wow. Well, I know a lot of our agents are going to be curious. How do they get access to your information? How much does it cost, etc.? What I think we should do is remind our listeners and viewers that all of Jim's contact information is going to be made available through the XCast description and overview leading into this presentation. And as far as pricing goes, I'll be frank, we've had extensive discussions to this point with the team at OneProtection. And really, it's dependent on how many agents we can get interested in this product. So we're demonstrating it. We're showing you the value that it provides. And I encourage you, if you're interested in learning more, please reach out to myself. I'll gladly put you in contact with James and Michael, and we can talk further about how we can make this an incredibly valuable proposition and offering for you through Experior. But in the meantime, you're welcome to reach out directly to Jim and his team and negotiate something on your own. But look forward to us hopefully coming to something in the very near future on an enterprise basis, so that we can offer it to all of our agents at an incredible price. Jim, was there anything else that you'd like to talk about before we wrap up?
Yes, two things. We start everybody off on a 90-day free trial period, and that's through Experior. Our normal free trial period is 30 days, but we want people to really get engaged with this, really understand that conversation, develop strategies, show them how to use that software, get them very comfortable using it, make it a part of their practice moving forward. Again, we offer a 90-day trial. We like to say we have the longest trial period in all of the world, 90 days. And we focus on training during that time frame. Who's typically a good fit for for our software or to get on a free trial, number one, you want to be proactive in this area of planning and you really want to grow and you know people that earn an income so you
Hmm.
can talk to them about this. Number two is you got to be okay with some basic software technology, super user friendly software, but you got to just use the system. And last but not least, you have to be open to new ideas and growth strategies. Without that,
Absolutely.
then we're not a fit, just to be quite point blank honest.
Well, you heard it here, 90-day free trial for Experior agents. And I think you mentioned it earlier on as well. The best place to start is with your natural market, the people that you already have as clients, or even your own network of friends and family members. Take this as an opportunity to enhance your offering, to hone your craft, to practice your scripts with people that like you, trust you, and hopefully want to support you in your new business. This is obviously if you're new to this industry. So take advantage of that. And we are also going to continue to provide ongoing training and resources like the Xcelerate with Shawn Redford podcasts. And it's quite a coincidence that this 90-day free trial coincides with our 90-day marketing campaign on disability insurance, or sorry, Jim, income protection. That's what we're going to call it from now on, folks. We're talking about income protection here. So, Jim, I know a lot of our agents are going to be wondering, how much does this cost? How do I get access to this? And I'm so excited. You know what? I'll let you share the news. Why don't you share the news? How can our agents access this incredible tool?
Oh, it sounds good, Sean. Well, I think the most important thing to understand is our free trial period. We normally have a 30-day free trial period, but any advisor through Experior gets access to the trial at a 90-day trial window. We want people to really get engaged with this. We extended out that trial period for you guys. Shawnee negotiated that with us. We appreciate that. But we just want people to really get engaged with this. There's no credit card information required to do that. Just create your username and login credentials, and then you're in. And then from there, we start training. And we want to
Perfect.
make sure that we really get people trained on this and really get them honed in on this area of their practice.
You know, a common question I get over and over again is this available in both Canada and the United
Mm,
States?
yes, it's
So the answer
true.
is yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Yep. Yep. It adapts into both here
Wonderful.
and across the pond really, really well. So,
Wonderful, wonderful.
yeah.
And as far as pricing goes, again, we've been able to and fortunate to negotiate a price off of the standard price for the standard user going to your site. That information will be on the micro site that is being created for Experior agents. And hopefully, you know, if there's enough uptake, we'll be able to have a little ammunition to maybe do a little more fine tuning, a little sharpening of the pencil. We'll see, right, Jim?
That's right. That's right. We just want our first step is just to get people writing more disability insurance, Sean. That's our first step. That is the mission.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, coinciding with our 90-day marketing campaign on disability insurance, as well as critical illness insurance and insuring the lives of children, you've got a 90-day trial to play around with the software, get experienced with it, try it out with clients, try it out on yourself, make sure you're comfortable with it, and hopefully see some success. So the cost of the software is irrelevant. It's an investment not only in your business, in your clients, but also in the conversations that you're now going to be able to have with your clients that you didn't otherwise have. So thank you, Jim, for all of these great resources.
Oh, you're very welcome.
On that note, Jim, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time, your support. You've been a great resource to me in the short time that we've known each other. You've been an incredible resource to me in terms of positioning disability insurance and working with Experior advisors. And so we're very excited for this partnership to continue to grow and look forward to having you on again sometime in the near future.
Can't wait. Thank you very much, Sean.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. And to our listeners, thank you very much for tuning in. Please make sure to check out the Connect or the Experior Connect app on your phone or the back office for recordings of these videos, upcoming sessions, and just to help you continue to accelerate your growth with critical illness insurance, disability insurance, and insuring the lives of children, at least for the next 90 days. Thank you very much. Have yourself a great day. Bye. Thanks for watching Xcelerate. I have another great video right here, so check it out. And remember, Xperia Financial Group is about real people, real ownership, and real change. Let us help you accelerate your growth.